The day, 10-15 minutes max. First one we're going to look at is buying your first equipment. So some of you already may have your own stuff, but this is looking, if you've got a bit more, where to go with that. Also, other people asking you, this is a great place to start, get some info. So, first equipment, we're going to find out what you should be buying first, the must-have stuff, and what you might be able to leave for later, maybe rent, do that kind of stuff. So we have world first skydiving equipment tier list, top tier to bottom tier we're going to have, and we're going to have a little bit extra info on how to choose some of that equipment as well. So here we have, this is the tier list. So at top we got essential stuff you want to be getting right away. So people, if you're still a student even, or just off student status, this top one, and even maybe these top three, as soon as you can get round to getting the equipment in these levels, you want to be doing that straight away. C, D, E, maybe we can wait a little bit longer. And F is just no, don't even go there. Right, so first one, we got a rig coming up. How do you think rig, first thing for a student to buy? What are we going? It's going to be going a bit lower. It is the most important piece of equipment we're wearing, but I get you, it's expensive. There's options to rent, do all that kind of stuff. For this one, I've put it down in D. It's a little bit lower down. Very important, but also very expensive. And we've got other ways that we can get hold of rigs. Next one. I'm going to put goggles straight up there in the top. Has everyone got their own goggles yet? Yeah. Super easy to get. They go on your face. It's not as nice as you want if you're sharing with other people, right? Get them on your face. You know they fit you. You know you've got them. You know they're clean. All of that kind of stuff. They're not super expensive. I'm putting them right there at the top. Next one, altimeter. What are we thinking? Altimeter? Halfway down? What? Sorry? A. I think you might be right. I can't remember where I put it. I did. I put it in A. Great thing to have. Here we go. Here's my altimeter. You can stick it in your bag. Not too big. Depending on what you get, there can be a little range of price. Remember, you can get something that is analog or digital. But very important piece of kit and good to get early. I've put a buff on here as well. I've put it a little bit lower. This was an interesting one. I talked to quite a few people about buffs. They're not essential, obviously. Well, they're not essential for me. There's a lot of people I've talked to with very long hair who just would not jump without a buff. They're quite inexpensive. They're great for the winter when you want to keep wind out from your neck, keep a little bit warmer. And also, yeah, if you've got things to keep out of the way, like hair, all of that kind of stuff, they're actually a great piece of kit to have. So not pretty inexpensive. I've put it actually quite high up the list for that one. What have we got next? Hook knife. Where do we think? Hook knife? What's that? I've put it up there too, yeah. I put it right at the top. Very inexpensive. Once you're not a student anymore, everybody needs to have one of these all of the time. Super easy to get hold of. Check in the bag. I'm going to put it up there right at the top. Get it as soon as you can. Next one, I've put a helmet in B tier. Now this, you might put it in A, you might put it in B. They can be a little bit more expensive, although we'll have a look in a little more detail later on the helmets. You can get stuff that's very expensive, like these ones, with all the bells and whistles and everything you want. Or you can go to Decathlon and get a ski helmet for 20 quid. There's not a whole load of rules on exactly what helmets you're allowed to wear skydiving, but you do need your CI's approval for doing so. We'll have a bit of a look at that later. How about jumpsuit? What do you guys think? What are you going to do with jumpsuit? What? Someone in the buff? Yeah, to be fair, I was thinking somewhere next to the helmet, and I was struggling of which way around to put them, but I put it just there. They've actually got a load more better options for the UK now for cheaper suits, when now we've got Vertex, Simbi Suit doing great stuff, and we're not having to order stuff from, you know, America. Prices of everything else are going up. Suits for us in this country are actually going down, which is great news because it means we can get something that fits us, and we know we've got and suits the kind of jumping that we're doing. Next up, audible altimeter. Very nice. What do we think? Where are we going to put it? Yeah, it's a bit fancy. I've actually put it just above the rig because it's still nowhere near as expensive as getting a rig is, unless you get an incredible deal on a second-hand rig. But yeah, so you see it hasn't quite made the top 3. This isn't super important, although if you start to get into things like free flying, things that aren't FS, you are going to need an audible altimeter. You can, of course, get something like Alti2, which this is exactly the same unit, the Atlas, which works on your hand and in your helmet. So they are interchangeable. You can get something like that to help out. Next one, gloves. What do we think? Air supply, yeah. It's going to the top. It's going with the top ones. Super easy. You know you want them. It's going to fit. You don't technically need gloves for jumping. But I would always wear them, even in the summer, because it protects your hands, and we need our hands to pull things. So, next up, thermals. You don't need them. It can be nice. Getting nice, like custom thermals to put under. You can wear your pajamas. I've worn pajamas underneath my trousers before if you really want to stay warm in the winter. But yeah, you can get something like that. Not super good. And last one, you can buy your own plane. Some people have done that. I don't recommend it though. Let's not do that. So, this is my tier list. You don't need to stick to it rigidly. So if somebody asks you what they should be getting next, you can come and have a look at this and see what we got. Right, next up, we're going to have a look at choosing gear. First one, goggles. Who wants to tell me some pros and cons of these eyewear we've got up here? What do we think about this one? What do you want to... Stop? Stops too much wind. I presume by that you mean that it's not very aerodynamic. Yeah, tinted, that is something we want to consider. So tinted, not very aerodynamic. I know people who have worn ski goggles. It's doable, especially depending on the type of helmet. Sorry? Peripheral vision, yeah, absolutely. How much you can see out the sides. I've also tried to use ski goggles on a time. They just flipped up. My own personal ones, so I knew they fit me. I knew they were tight. But the amount of air that you can get on them, you can flip them up. Tinted as well, I wouldn't recommend tinted unless you've already got this kind of stuff and you really know what you're doing. How about these ones? Pros, they look fantastic. Negatives, they're probably going to fall off. They're not really going to keep the air out of your eyes. Similar with something like this, you can wear glasses if they create a good seal. Just be aware that the worse the seal, the more you're going to get things like air going into your eyes. And any distractions is something we want to protect against. So something like this is going to be a first port of call. How about gloves? What do we think? Pros and cons? Pros. All right. These look fantastic, yes. Dexterity, though, maybe not. We've got these. These are great because these are one size fits all. They stretch over anyone's hand and they're rainbow. However, stretchy things on our hands, not so great when they get caught in things. And anything woolen as well will stick to Velcro. So we want to stay away from those. Now, these are obviously fantastic. These are designed for skydiving. You'll see they have a tackified surface on the front that does not stretch and is very durable. Something you can get is something like cycling gloves, but just be aware, some of these have pads on the inside for holding handles or big handles, which aren't so good for holding little handles or doing dexterous things that we need. So do check if you're getting stuff that is not designed for skydiving. Next one, helmets. What do we think? Is this good? Yes. Is this good? No. Why is this not good? Wind through it? Wind through it's not too bad. I mean, if you want to protect, they've got holes all over them, and they're great. Main problem I have with this is it's not actually that secure on your head. Also, it doesn't provide that much protection from the sides at all. And you've got lots of snag hazards as well that things can catch on. Here, this is good. Remember, you do need a B license for having a full face helmet. This is the 20 quid one I was saying from Decathlon. Not as much side protection, but still better than you would expect. And there are other options as well. You can get a brand new ProTech as well for like 50 quid, which are fantastic helmets, which I still have my ProTech and can still jump it. It's my first one. What about this one? Great protection. Great protection from bows and arrows as well. But yeah, no strap, kind of heavy, so we'll leave that one. Moving on, altimeters. So, what do we think? I know you're thinking, I don't need any of these. These are my altimeters, but no. In fact, eyes are very inconsistent when looking at height. Why do we not use this one? Yeah, it's hard to see. It's very small. It's also not designed for the accuracy that we need it. When you're climbing up a mountain, you don't really need the exact accuracy that we might. And they're designed for you to always be on the ground as well, which affects how air pressure works up high. These are great. You know, there's no provisionals, nothing to stop anyone, even students, from wearing both of these, right? So students from the very first jump can wear digital or analog. Do you know what the pros and cons of these ones are? That one needs a battery, exactly. This one does not need a battery at all, ever. They're actually both pretty easy to read. This one can get a lot of other functions, things like that. We've actually found people, younger people who've grown up more in the digital age, can actually find it easier to read a digital thing, which sounds crazy to me, but of course I use one of these as well, and they are incredibly easy to read. Both great options though. Lastly, if you ever have to buy any gear, if you come to Langar, we've got air supply with Phil on site where you can buy stuff. Also, getting second hand can also be great. Facebook is often the best place for that. Just make sure if you go into any of the groups there, if they're not UK based, they may have extra import taxes that are going to increase the amount it costs to get them to you. Lastly, talk to some of our fabulous instructors or any drop zone you're at. Chat to people. They can give you the ideas of what to buy next and what to buy in that category as well. Cool. Any questions on that? How do we feel? You feel more knowledgeable? Probably not. A lot of that is common sense, especially if you've been around the sport for a while. What do you think? Do you have any equipment-based questions? Anyone? Feeling happy? All right. Well, thank you very much. Make sure you got a bingo card. Please take a pack of crisps if you would like, and some Haribo.
I do have a question.
You do? Go for it.
I'm still on A license, so I still have to get an open face helmet.
Yes.
Is it worth doing that, or should I just hang on in the full face helmet?
Now, for me, I recommend having an open face. However you have that, like I love my open face, and I still have. This is just like I can take everything off this, and it is just an open face. And there's lots of times when I want to use an open face. So don't feel like you're gonna get something, and you won't be able to use it anymore. It'll be like, oh, now it's defunct because I've got my B license. like I'll take everything off just so I can jump an open face, which is very useful in certain scenarios. There's even times in winter when it gets cold enough that I want to jump this because I don't want my face to freeze up. But you can make the rest of you all nice and cozy. But no, I wouldn't worry about it being kind of not useful anymore. If you're worried about that, you can get something that's a bit cheaper, like a ProTech, which again are fantastic helmets. But that is my recommendation anyway. Jump an open face. It depends what you want. So for me, a lot of the time that I jump an open face is when I want to film something. Like you can put cameras on full faces. They're just often harder to put cutaway systems on. I jump it in the depths of winter when I feel it's actually too cold for a full face because it might ice up. Because again, the only part of you that's different is just your face here, and if the rest of you's warm, it's still fine. So I find that useful. When's the other scenarios that I would use it? I use it on fun jumps. We do stuff like you ever seen someone do a banana jump? So to get out with an unopened banana, you have to open it and attempt to eat all of it in free fall. That's really difficult with a full face. So this is much better. Difference with full faces as well. Depending on the design, it can be a lot easier to read someone's face and facial expressions with an open face like this. So if you're doing something together where you're almost communicating in free fall, it can be a lot better.
Most of the helmets have to pass the EU and the British regulations.
Yeah.
But is there any sort of rules around that at the moment?
As in to jump skydiving wise? There isn't that. You can pretty much jump with anything you want. Most skydiving helmets are not safety rated in that way, just because there's so many hoops you have to jump through for that to be a thing. Even if they are technically safe, which I think most of them are, but you can get something like a ProTech, or you can get something like a G4 full face. They're officially safety rated. ProTech, super easy though, great helmet. I recommend. All right, thank you very much. See you back here.